public comments. Number one, if you read the thing that says you have to put your name and address on the card, by law, you cannot be required to place your address. You can't be required to provide your address in order to speak. So that's optional. I want everybody to know that. And also, I am concerned about reducing the number of speakers to only 10, because the last two meetings when we had only 10, public comment took 17 minutes and 24 minutes. So we got 10 speakers into 17 minutes. We could have had everybody who wanted to speak. And prior to that, I looked at the different times that had been taken up by public comment when there was no limit. 33 minutes, 32 minutes, 25 minutes, 15, 36 minutes, 13 minutes. On June 4th, we did have 48 minutes of public comments. 8.5 minutes, 22 minutes, 15 minutes, 36 minutes, 32 minutes, and then another big one, March 5th. I only went back 6 months. So March 5th was 44 minutes. And then by comparison, our council comments took up 25 minutes, 22 minutes, 37 minutes. All of these are in excess of public comments, 49 minutes, which is, I think, more than we ever spent on public comments. 28 minutes, 2 minutes, I think that was when we had some members out of town. 26 minutes, 19, 16 minutes, 12 minutes, 18 and a half, 19 minutes, 19 and a half, 35 minutes. Interestingly enough, we also had, for the most part, our city manager has been fairly concise, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 4 minutes. But we did have some fairly long presentations that were part of the manager's report that sort of brought that whole situation up to 45 minutes. And I know there was specific reference to beginning the public hearings around 9 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
What?
Public hearings at 7 o'clock?
No, I meant when this began was that we weren't starting our public hearings till like 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Sorry.
Well, that meeting, we didn't even come in here till 6:30. And then we had 33 minutes of public comments, which I don't think is excessive. And also, we're not even starting public comments till a half hour or 45 minutes into the meeting sometimes because of the various presentations. So I just do not believe it's the public comments that are delaying the meetings, and I think it's disrespectful to the public. We're celebrating Veterans Day, and something else that we should be aware of is 2 weeks from tonight, it will be the 150-year anniversary of the Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. And when Lincoln spoke, we prepare to honor our veterans. And what he was doing at Gettysburg was they were honoring the veterans. They were dedicating a cemetery. And Lincoln said, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. And it is for the living to be dedicated here to the unfinished work for which they fought, who have thus far so nobly advanced. It is for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. And it's my hope that government of the people, by the people, and for the people will be our paramount interest in Costa Mesa, not government of the people, by a few and for a few, but of all the people. And I'd also like to remind you of a quote from Harry Truman. Once a government is committed to the principle of silencing the voice of opposition, it has only one way to go, and that is down the path of increasingly repressive measures until it becomes a source of terror to all its citizens and creates a country where everyone lives in fear. Thank you.
Thank you.
5-0.
Okay, then I've got two items that left here that are items 2 and item 14. And both of them have to do with the police. And I'm going to go ahead and recuse myself, but I want to explain why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's very bizarre, the system that we have here, where an association is involved in could be illegal activity. We'll see the district attorney will figure it out, and the FBI will figure it out, and a judge will figure it out in the end. But what is amazing to me is how they're trying to twist things. Council's already voted, I wasn't part of it, that they're not going to go ahead and pay the legal fees. It's obvious. The Police Officers Association is not the employees. It's an association. It's a separate body. It's a separate board. And in the litigation that Councilmember Mensinger and I have is over the actions that were caused by the Costa Mesa Police Officers Association, the law firm they hired, and the private investigator that they hired. If they didn't hire them, they can come and speak, and when we depose them, and they choose not to speak to be deposed, they continue to go ahead and hide these issues. So they can go ahead and do that. But the bottom line is very simple. If we had in front of us a project the developer was bringing forward, and he found out that Sandy Genis was going to vote against it, all I have to do is go up to Sandy Genis and punch her in the face. And if Sandy Genis sues, she can't vote on the project. Okay? If Sandy Genis sues, she can't vote on the project. Now, we all know that's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So we have rules for conflicts. And I don't want to get into an argument or a fight over a rule for a conflict over a 4% raise that was already approved by a previous council to give. There's no reason it shouldn't happen. I don't want to get into issues to cause a fight when there's no reason, because they're going to be easily, I shouldn't say how they're going to what's going to happen on it, but whatever will happen without me in it. But what I do want to say is that a judge will decide. Know this right now. This mayor, Jim Righeimer, will be negotiating and voting on the police contract. It will happen. And the judge will decide that, because there's not a judge in the country that's going to say, someone can take away your civil rights, you sue them, and now you're stopped from voting on a contract. Every single city councilman will start getting punched in the face by developers to keep them from voting on their contract. So I'll be recusing myself from item 2 and 4. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'll also be recusing myself.
And Mr. Mayor, I hope you're not giving anybody ideas about punching anybody in the face.